I've helped IT professionals, HR managers, and then teachers working in Japan, but the pattern seems to always be the same. Even with good Japanese, it seems impossible to thrive in Japan. Today, I'll show you exactly why that happens and what the most successful foreigners do differently to turn that around. My name is Sean, and I was born and raised in Japan. And now I help professionals and beginners actually succeed in Japanese workplaces, not just survive. So today, guys, you're going to learn why so many foreigners struggle here, the 3 hidden reasons why it feels impossible, and then how to make real progress even starting this week. So first, let's start with why it feels impossible to have a good career in Japan. Okay, so I have 3 parts in this, and then guys, I get it. First of all, there's this huge language gap that makes it completely impossible to have a great career, right? So number 1 is language gap. Guys, but it's not about grammar. It's about your tone. It's about your indirectness. It's about reading the atmosphere, right? If you're working in Japan already, you know exactly what I mean when I say reading the atmosphere, right? And when it comes to this like language gap, many foreigners actually speak pretty good Japanese, but the style feels off to Japanese coworkers. You guys know all these words, but the style and the situation doesn't match. So the words that you use doesn't match the situation, and that kind of feels off to Japanese people. This also leads to isolation, guys. You may not notice it, but I've seen it a lot happen. I've seen it happen a lot, right? And when it comes to unspoken rules, this is number 2 of why it seems impossible. There are a lot of unspoken rules in Japan, right? Let's be real. There are more unspoken rules than spoken ones, right? So typically in Japanese companies, no one gives direct feedback. So you may be thinking that you're doing fine, but behind the scenes, trust isn't being built between you and your coworkers, right? So I've seen this happen a lot too. A lot of people, including my friends, they think that they're doing all right, but then behind the scenes, no one really trusts them because no one gives them direct feedback, right? That's another thing. And another reason that it seems completely impossible is that there's no map, there's no system, there's no clear roadmap, for foreigners. Japan just opened up recently, right? It was like within the last 20 years, that it completely opened up to foreigners like you. And most foreigners try random things like be more polite, speak more Japanese, work harder. But without knowing what really earns trust here, it feels like you're running in circles. So here, yeah, these are kind of like the reasons why it seems impossible. And I also want to talk about how to change that. All right, we talked about all the problems and all the reasons why you're feeling like it's impossible to have a good career in Japan. Let's change that. All right, let's get started. So in order to have a fulfilling career and actually get motivated, stay motivated, and think like it's possible to make it here, there are 3 things that I recommend. Right, the first one is targeted Japanese communication. Right, so don't worry, I'll talk about it from now, right? Focus on workplace specific, so situation-based Japanese phrases, not just textbook Japanese, right? For example, use softeners like something kato omoimasu. It's very indirect. If you say something like I just think that way, so dato omoimasu, it's very direct. Japanese people don't do this. If you say something kato omoimasu, very different. It feels a lot softer. It feels like there's a lot of room between. It's not too direct. It's indirect, right? So instead of being direct, do that. This small shift, guys, there's a huge difference in how Japanese coworkers respond to you, because if you're too direct, Japanese people hate confrontation. So I've seen this a lot with Western people, including my dad at workplaces, right? When I was a kid, I used to go to where my dad worked. He was a college professor. So like I would go to workplaces and talk to people that he knew. And then I remember being, shocked, because when my dad, he would use these English phrases, like in his brain, it's all English. He would just directly translate it to Japanese and say like, I think this is a problem and I think we should do this. But in Japan, people don't respond to that because it's too direct. You gotta be more indirect. All right. So yeah, if you do that, if you go from completely like too direct to indirect, there's going to be a huge difference in how people respond to you here. Another thing you can do is build micro relationships. Success here, guys, is built on one-on-one communication, right? Not through like big speeches or group, meetings, right? So focus on the one-on-one relationship. Focus on making one friend. That friend will introduce you to you like 3 other friends, right? Start by asking small questions, showing curiosity, and like kind of finding common ground. Because what happened was, for example, with my dad, he came to Japan first at like 28 or something, and then first he had 0 friends, like nobody. I don't know what happened, but through some coworker or some friend, he met my mom, right? That came from one-on-one communication, not like a group, speech or anything, like a group meeting, right? He probably made like 1 or 2 Japanese, like local friends, and then he got married, right? He started dating a Japanese person, which was my mom, and that happened through one-on-one communication, right? So, like for example, ask a coworker how they usually handle something at work. It kind of shows interest and then builds trust, right? Don't try to impress a lot of people. Just start with one person, okay? Guys, I say this because I've seen this happen a lot. Many people think that they have good relationships, but I'll say this because it's important, okay? Japanese people won't consider, even if they smile and they talk to you in a polite way, they may not be considering you as a friend. I say this because I've seen it happen a lot, okay? Especially with my Western friends. They come to Japan, they tell me that they're friends with these people, and I go meet them, and it feels like there's still distance. I can catch that because I was born and raised in Japan, but my friends don't catch it because they're not from Japan, right? Until you get really close and really deep with these people, have a deep relationship, they won't consider you as a friend. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say start with one person, have a one-on-one relationship, make a close friend, right, overall. And the last thing I recommend 1000% is go to nomikais. Guys, alcohol beats everything. In Japan, the moment you drink, coworkers change, okay? I've seen this in most cases. You drink, you laugh, and then you crash at your friend's place. All right, they'll take care of you. Don't worry. Even if you get completely drunk and wasted, they'll take care of you. Okay, they're not gonna just leave you alone, especially because you're from a different country. We feel more responsible for that. Okay, when I take my foreigner coworkers out like drinking, I feel responsible for them. So I make sure they get home, or if they're like in college, when my friend would drink a lot and he couldn't go home, I'll be like, yeah, you can stay in my room. He just crashed there, right? And then through those experiences, you'll learn how Japanese people live, their lifestyle. You communicate in Japanese. You get closer. That's my point, guys. And it's completely free. You don't need to pay for conferences or anything, or even school, right? Just at your workplace, make one friend, and then go to nomikais. Go out drinking. All right. This last part I just wanted to add. I wasn't going to add it, but as I was making this video, I wanted to add this because it's so important. I've seen a lot of my Muslim friends, unfortunately, because they don't drink. My Western friends have a better relationship at work and all that because they drink more, right? So it's just a fact. I think this is 90% of the time true. I've seen a lot of people from the Muslim world kind of be isolated, right? Because they don't drink. And in Japan, drinking is a huge thing. So if you want to be close, go to nomikais, all right? And finally, guys, if thriving in Japan feels impossible, trust me, you are not alone. Most foreigners struggle with this even years after moving here, right? So, but with the right focus and systems, you can turn it around. And I've seen it happen again and again. I've helped many people turn that into a better situation. So trust me, it's not only you. All right, guys, if this video was helpful, it'll mean the world to me if you gave it a like and shared it with your friends and family, because it's not only you who's struggling in Japan, including my family. They came from the US, right? I was born here, but my dad came from the US and my relatives as well. And there are a lot of other people who are learning Japanese culture and the Japanese language, especially in Tokyo and big cities like that. So please share this video with people if you think it's valuable. All right, guys, I'll talk to you in our next one. Bye-bye.